welcome to the Purposefully Clear podcast. In this podcast, we're going to be telling stories about direct application of tools, processes, systems that lead to validating outputs for students and teachers. Systems change, if you will, through culturally validating pedagogy and leadership. Come along for the Clear journey. Excited you're here.
This is the Purposefully Clear podcast. This is number 13, episode 3 of 6, with our guest Billy Chan. The podcast is hosted by Dr. Rev Hillstrom at the Sophia Hotel in San Diego, California on March 1st, 2026.
Episode 3 of 6, we're going to be exploring more of that conversation between the art and science of pedagogy. Has a lot to do with ontology, right? And epistemology, for that matter. How are we structure and making meaning, and what knowledge has most worth, if you will, back to Spencer, some of the things we've talked about in the past. So join us as we try to understand the nuances between pedagogy as a science and an art. Let's be purposefully clear together.
Right.
Now you're jumping into the stuff we're really talking about pedagogy. Yeah. Bring that heat.
Right. So it is reverse, right? Because like what happens generally in a classroom when you go to sites and we're doing professional learning, what do? We give to teachers, right? How often do administrators ask for next steps? How often are administrators very clear about when I come into the classroom and you're doing this strategy, this is what I should see. These are some common look-fors, right? Because we expect our teachers to check for understanding multiple points throughout the day. Yet when we go to a classroom, it's the 15 minutes. We don't have a clear focus, right? If there's classroom disruption, that focus of learning intentions and success criteria goes out the door, right? And then we get so distracted by all these components of literacy and instruction and discipline. If we just focus on like one really intentional piece and how teachers implement and how they implement the knowledge in the curriculum, in the classroom, and how kids are actually learning, what kids are actually learning, and most importantly, is the tasks aligned to the strategy and to the standard, right? All of this is just like one really small focus that can drive, we call it the California Standards for Teaching Profession. Yep. It was surprising to me, when I looked at it, that if you just look at what teachers put in front of kids as learning intentions, and if that aligns to the standards, right, and the tasks aligned to that, you hit all the CSTPs.
Sure you can.
Yeah, you hit all.
Okay, so as we do this deeper dive, I'm going to give you a tool here. We're just going to give you the C in Clear with this clear practice form to look at. When we talk about have, thinks, and do's, you've got to have ways to introduce this, and this form is one of those approaches. There's a lot more to learn in the Clear Renewal process. We'll take you through all 5 letters, but I just wanted to give you an example of what one of these approaches might look like if we wanted to do just a deeper dive on the C as a practice in Clear. What if we asked ourselves, how do we make sure that the way we facilitate learning relates to our students, and then provide examples what those look-fors would be? If we were having another colleague or another advisor or supervisor come in and watch us, what if we were able to do that? What strategies did we use to build a strong connection with students, right? When we start asking these types of questions, they're all here, but lastly, I'll ask the 5th question. How does this content connect to the learner's personal experience with their current environment? This social application brings it all together within the human purpose, booking in the R right within the C of Clear. We have these tools and many others to help you take a deeper dive. Looking forward to being purposefully clear together.
What I hear Tor just explain is the scientific method of education or pedagogy.
Right.
And so I'm trying to say, yes, but it doesn't always produce the same outcome or results based on that scientific process, because the kids in front of us or different one by one from each other. Right now, if we're all coming in the same and we're all going to learn the same and we're all like robots, then the scientific process that he just described will give us the same outcome, right? But the one piece that I want to highlight and add on to what Tua just said is, yes, teachers have knowledge, and we want to continue building the efficacy, but the urgency behind that is very different based on the teacher's perspective. For some of them, hey, I'm here 9 to 5, I'm getting a paycheck, I'm doing a job, I'm paid for. For some, they're very passionate about what they do, and they're very creative, and they're bringing things that are engaging for the kids, right? But the other
To a reference and stuff.
Yeah,
He's got
absolutely.
all kinds of teachers that are crushing it. Right?
Absolutely. And the other level to that is the urgency where for a dual immersion program,
Yeah.
particularly for Hmong dual language immersion program, the urgency behind that teacher needs to understand is, yeah, you're not just coming in here and doing from 9 to 5 and get a paycheck, or you're not coming in here being passionate about teaching these kids and bringing them engaged in activities. You have to understand that for that particular culture that we're talking about, we're trying to preserve and maintain a particular language that's dying, right? That's the urgency that teacher needs to understand, that this language is dying, and that's why we have these programs so that we could revitalize it and sustain it for future generations. That's the level of urgency that teachers in those specialized programs need to understand so that they are clear about why am I in this program, why am I teaching this, right? And that's going to not only elevate the creativity that they're going to bring in, but also bring the artistic and cultural values and perspective into the curriculum and into the pedagogy. Because the reason behind such a program, now if we're talking about like the Spanish program,
Right.
that's a totally different context. But for the Hmong program, it's a dying language in the context of the United States. My kids don't speak it.
Wow.
My kids don't. They speak English. And I know Tua can confirm that his kids don't speak it. Our third, fourth generation,
Third, fourth.
the language is dying, right? And so pedagogy, education, all that, yeah, there's a more urgency than just the state assessment scores that we're looking for.
So again, to try to understand this below the surface, I want to continue with this purpose of education conversation. So the system has a purpose for it, right? Anytime we need more of something, we create opportunities to educate that. We need more traffic controllers. Guess what? We're going to have more of them. And we educate for them. We create incentives and we generate that. When we're short doctors, we create doctors, right? I mean, that's what we do. And we motivate that because of a societal need. But that should not be the purpose of education. And as long as it is, it's going to be in direct conflict with many of us who have other reasons to live rather than just to be part of a colonial process. That said, I want to offer this. Till the purpose of education for the marginalized student and their family is the center, and we've done that through collecting the information, we'll never have an opportunity to have a through line with community that Tua talks about, and we'll never address the urgency. What is the purpose of education to the individual who is the least successful in the environment you've created? What is that purpose? And where is that centered in the conversation? In so doing, we can be clear and lead to sustainable change.
I was having a conversation with a colleague at the airport today about like the psychological portion of teaching, right? So you brought up urgency.
Yeah.
You can't have urgency without clarity, right? I shared with a colleague recently, like when I was rolling out this whole PLC plan, I had great clarity what the plan looked like. I knew exactly what the metrics that I was going to put in place, and I was so urgent to like implement it that I forgot to communicate it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about. So what K do you need, bro, to be able to have it clear, right?
Or like to communicate, man. Like, I wasn't very clear on what, like, I was clear to me. I wasn't clear to anyone else. As a matter of fact, I didn't even create that buy-in, right? Yeah. I didn't even take the time to figure out what teachers know what they needed so that we can collectively create this plan together, right? That urgency will only happen once you have clarity, and if you're the only one that has clarity, right? And I think that's a huge issue that we've been talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly. And
It's
so,
like the through line needs to happen all the way across, right? Because it only starts with the site level, and then you have all these amazing departments that are putting together resources that may not align to what's happening here, and then the communication doesn't happen with parents in the community.
I got one.
hey folks, doing a little reel to reel. Thank
here in
you, Billy and
Stillwater.
Tua. But the idea behind reel to reel is to bring you into our real lives and our relationship as well. So, Billy and Tua have been talking about real stuff. We got it on the reel. How do we make a reel for you and I? What's coming up, bro?
Well, one of the things that I thought about after this episode was Billy said something along the lines of there's teachers that are 9 to 5 and teachers that are passionate. And I don't think those have to be two separate people. I'm proof. I do hold my contract hours. I don't bring work home, and yet somehow I get it done between the hours of 7:30 and 3. And I am passionate, as you can imagine. So I think both can exist simultaneously.
Yeah, they're not mutually exclusive, and yet,
No.
unfortunately, reality often presents them and lived experience the way we see them as mutually exclusive. I mean, we do see. I'm a recovering administrator. For God's sake, what Billy says is absolutely true. I've seen it a million times if I've seen it once. I want to offer this. As most of you know, I spend time in prayer and thoughts, and here's the thing that I want to offer from this morning, literally this morning's prayer and thoughts.
Here we go.
So I'm going to take my glasses off so I can read it. I sent this to Dr. Jackson and Nan this morning. The work cannot be fully contained in scientific language, but it must be expressed. Not because science holds the truth, but because it is the language that allows entry into the conversation. Without that translation, what is most valuable is dismissed before it is even experienced. So the work must stand in both spaces, defensible and lived. One to open the door and the other to show what's inside. From there, people can choose to engage or walk away. Either way, the work remains. So this is the job of becoming purposefully clear. Thank you so much. Let's do it together.
Welcome to the producer's corner, or side porch, as it were. It's hot out, but it's kind of pretty. Sunset. Here, I'm gonna show you a little bit. It's kind of what I'm looking at. Kind of a wooded, nice little area. In thinking about the science and art of teaching, I really came back to something I love to do, which is cooking. I don't follow recipes. I've never done that. I look at a lot of recipes. I figured out how to do things the right way, but I don't think I've ever cooked with one. If I want to make, I don't know, carbonara, I'll look up how to do it. Get the basics, get the formula figured out, and then I'll add myself into that formula. So I'll add my art, my creativity. Oh, there was Hudson. To the scientific formula for carbonara. Teachers do this. We add ourselves to the mix all the time. I'm sure you've seen the links. Follow those if you need something or you like. Otherwise, we'll see you in episodes 4, 5, and 6. Cheers.
Get revved up.
Hey, I am all revved up. Let me tell you, sometimes good things happen to good people, and this is definitely one of those cases. Natalia, we are so proud of you, so excited for you. Here's her new book. Here's her new title. This is a young person making a difference in the world. I'm excited by young people making a difference. And Natalia, you're a true leader. I'm all revved up because of you, friend.
Miss Minnesota's Teen 2026 is Natalia Yuriko.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Intercultural Innovations Incorporated. Director and producer is Dr. Rev Hillstrom. Producer and editor is Jason Eldridge, with graphics by Barbie Hillstrom and Nan Ureko. Original music by Ben Lockett, Jason Eldridge, and Dr. Rev Hillstrom. Intercultural Innovations Incorporated 2026. For any information, bright spots, or links from this episode, email jason.impacti3@gmail.com.